Now, get ready for the hottest podcast coming out of Dallas, Texas, with Sean Fox, K Boogie, and Cowboys Nikki. Stars talking Cowboys. Let's go!
Yo, here we go again, back up on the scene. Stars talking Cowboys, you know what I mean. The podcast repping everything with silver and blue. Keeping it real, that's what they do. Let me tell you about the crew. Sean Fox, spitting facts. K Boogie's giving game. Nikki's got the stats, so of course she covers everything. It's showtime, so let's get to the biz. And that Stars talking Cowboys, yeah, you know what time it is.
What's up? What's up? What's up? How you doing, Cowboy Nikki? I think you're on mute there, Nikki. Matter of fact, I know you're on mute.
Okay.
There we go.
Hear me now?
There we go.
All right.
What's good? What's good? What's good?
Nothing. What's the haps? What's going on?
Oh, it's a holiday weekend. It's essentially the holiday weekend is over. Getting back to reality, and woke up this morning to some Cowboys news, and
Yeah.
and here we are.
And everybody panicking. Of course. Everyone is in panic mode, and of course it's gonna get blown out of proportion. Because of course it's a Dallas Cowboy player. Um, I mean, unfortunately for me, I always look for at least one player a season to do something, um, to bring us some type of headline news. It's normally either right after the season, right before training camp, after training camp, right before the season starts. So it's always something. I guess it's just in the Cowboys' DNA.
Yeah, well,
For me, the thing that upsets, I mean, the only thing, ooh, I mean, the only thing that upsets me the only thing that upsets me about it is Brian is trying to change the culture here,
yeah,
and um, that kind of is like a setback of trying to change the culture here and get the culture back to how we was with just run about winning and the season. Um, I'm not saying he wrong for smoking weed or whatever because they all do. And I mean, Travis Kelsey had a whole show pretty much telling them how to beat being tested positive for weed in the NFL. Um, he had a whole show about it. So that led me to believe that he smokes weed as well. Um, I know a lot of them use it
oh,
as
of
a
course.
pain
I mean,
as a pain regimen. A lot of them use it for that. And technically, the NFL is not even that worried about them on that even worried about them with weed anymore.
I get it. I mean, in today's society, weed is acceptable now. There are some instances where is maybe frowned upon, and there's some instances where it's not allowed. Like in my professional career, it is. I'm gonna say this without incriminating myself. It is frowned upon, but it's tolerable if that's
Mhm.
understood.
Mhm.
Now, if something was to happen while you know, we were at work and something like that, if it was to show up, it probably would be, something that could possibly get somebody fired. But
Right.
in today's society, it's acceptable.
Right.
Um, whether you morally accept it or not, um, it is what it is. So the fact that
Yeah.
fact
What I
that
did.
yeah, there you go. The fact that Turpin like you said, we all know it. A lot of players have admitted it. They've admitted to that. That they do weed. Professional basketball, football. Don't really know too much. I heard any baseball players say it, but definitely football and basketball. You know,
Right.
especially those guys who've been retired. They openly say, "Hey, I do this, I do that, I do this." You know,
Right. Right. So again, of course, it's sent. Think probably that's been the most excitement we've had since off season. To send the fans into a frenzy. So, and everyone has their mixed opinions on it. Um, for me, I just said that I don't think it's that big of a deal of what they're making it out to be because one, um, they it was two, it was both misdemeanors. Two, um, he only had a $500 bond, so that tells me that um that that tells me that it wasn't over the top. And I think here in Texas, um, it's just what they do. And I think the officers just had a chance to arrest a Cowboys player, and that's what they did. They had a chance to have a storyline. They had a chance to arrest the Cowboys player and have a big storyline attached to their name for being the arresting officer. And I just think that's just what I just think that's what they did. Now, and I'm giving Kavon Turpin right for having the weed and the gun, knowing that he ain't supposed to, not in the car anyway. Um, but in Texas, you know, um, we still not legal, and carrying a gun, you can carry. Texas is an open carry state, but what I have an issue with these players with guns is why are the guns not registered? Get it registered, you know. Just get the gun registered. So I had to go do it back and do a dive into Kayvon's Turpin's case, his previous case, the domestic violence case. And I said, well, maybe this is the reason the gun is not registered because he ain't supposed to have a gun because he has a past domestic violence case. But when I looked up the domestic violence case, um, if I'm understanding it correctly, I could be wrong, but if I'm understanding it correctly, he pled guilty to that case, but he also pled guilty under conditions with him finishing a program. And that program, once he completed that program and he got into no more trouble, no more incidents, no more domestic violence or any type of issues, um, it was adjudicated, and the charges was adjudicated. And charges being adjudicated means that they are gone off his record. He's not held accountable um, for those charges anymore. So it's like it never happened, you know. It's like it never happened on his record. Of course, we could still find it on the internet or whatever, but to his background, that charge, domestic violence case charge, is considered that it never happened. So if that's the case, then um, it throws out the fact that he was a convicted felon carrying a gun with a domestic violence case. That throws that out. He wasn't a like that's what I seen on couple people posts where he was a convicted felon carrying a gun. He wasn't a convicted felon. He chose to plead guilty, but he took a 27-month program that said that if you stay out of trouble from A to Z during this particular time frame and you complete these classes correctly with no other issues, no other trouble, these charges will be dismissed from your record. And so they can't hold him against that. And that's probably why the bond was as small as it was as well. So you had a weapon and you probably was in an area or somewhere with that gun that you wasn't supposed to be in that area with, that prohibited guns. Um, but again, the bond was only $500, so that speaks volumes on how much weight all that really holds. Um, you know, I think if he gets suspended at all, it may be only 2 games. I'm sure the NFL will fine him. They probably will fine him. But you want to keep, if they want to keep it real and keep it fair, why would you want to over suspend him for misdemeanors when Rashid Rice is out here with 4 or 5 felonies and he still played and wasn't nothing went on with that case. With the league, they said, well, they didn't expect him to be punished. So for me, um, I don't see them doing anything big with Turpin with this case. And if they did, it would only be because he's a Dallas Cowboys player. That would be the only reason they would do something. We know they don't treat us fairly. We know they do us differently because they did it to Zeke, gave him 6 games for something that they never proved, something that they never even that he was even charged with, but he got 6 games. And then you got players that came behind him that actually got charged with domestic violence and they didn't get but 3, 4 games, you know. So I don't expect much to come from this with Tavon Turpin. He 18 $18 millionaire. He's a millionaire. At this point, he should be able to pay for the best defensive team to get these charges thrown out, taken care of. Worst case scenario, he'll have to take some more classes on something. And worst case scenario, he probably, if they choose to suspend him, it would be no more than 2 games if that was the case. And that would fall under him with the league, whatever the league that thing is, the league have. That's what that would fall under if they were to do anything.
Yeah, so I'm reading here, and this is coming from a sports article. It says, "What about severe punishment from the team or the NFL?" It says, "No on the first, unlikely on the second, though under the weak muscle NFLPA agreed to CBA, the commissioner can administer any punishment he's in the mood to hand out."
Hmm.
And it says, "What about a severe tongue lashing from somebody, around the Cowboys, like the new head coach?" And it was like, most definitely, they probably will.
Yeah,
Uh, so I'm like you. A 1,500 bond on 2 misdemeanors is nothing, you know.
right.
And from what you reported earlier, it looks like our boy Wonder vouched for him, didn't he?
Yeah. Dak is the reason. Dak is the one got him out. Dak is the one used his lawyers to get him out. He made a phone call to his attorneys to set it up and to get him out because technically it is a weekend here and a holiday weekend in Dallas. So he would have been in there. Probably he would have probably had to stay overnight because judges don't come back into the office until tomorrow. But Dak made a phone call and they got in touch with the judge and they made it happen. So
Hmm.
all these talks about Dak is not liked in the locker room. All these talks about Dak is not, you know, a leader in the locker room or on the sideline, and some of the players don't want to play with him, and all these talks about they get on podcasts and they throw him under the bus, and all these different things. You could throw that out the window. You could throw that out the window because he showed everyone today, and he showed that he is indeed a team player. He showed today that he definitely rides for his team. I mean, he went to court for Lyle Collins. He testified for Lyle Collins to keep Lyle Collins from getting to help to keep him from getting suspended. They still suspended him, but Dak did go testify for him. Now Lyle Collins, he deserved that suspension because you don't bribe no one to do tests for you or whatever. But Dak, even though that was wrong what he did, Dak was like, that's my boy, that's one of my best friends. So I'm still gonna go sit up here and testify for him. And that's what Dak did today. He made a phone call for his friend, for his teammate, and said, "I got you. I got you. I get you out of there." And he made a phone call. So that also shows that Dak has pull. That also shows that he has some respect in Dallas. So that throws that theory out the window that people in Dallas don't like Dak. Or the people in Dallas is tired of Dak, or the people in Dallas is ready for Dak to go. That throws that theory out the window. Now, like I said, money talk, names talk, bullshit walks. And
Or
Dak showed today that he's a stand-up guy, and his teammates they love him.
well, like I said, we talk about Dak on this show a lot, and most of the time, when we talk about Dak, we talk about Dak the person. I'm sorry, Dak the player. And I think what people get miscrewed is that at the end of the day, Dak and the other, you know, hundreds of players in the NFL, they're still human. You know what I'm saying? They're not supermen. They're not superheroes. At the end of the day, they're still human. They're gonna make mistakes on the field and off the field, just like we make mistakes at home, at work, while we're driving our car.
Hmm.
You know, I got today I got pulled over for speeding. Luckily, I had a nice state trooper, and he let me go with a warning. But that was a mistake on my part to speed. That doesn't mean that just because I made a mistake, doing something doesn't mean that I'm a bad person, or that I should never drive again, and and I should give up my car and all this kind of stuff. So
Right,
we have to realize that even with that, he's still a human being.
right,
He's a husband, a father. He's a friend. He's a teammate, but he's also the leader of our Cowboys.
right. He's also the face of our. He's also the face of our organization.
Face to the franchise. So if that goes out there tomorrow and throws 5 TDs and we win the game, the whole world is going, oh, this is the Dak that we've been looking for. This and other. Well, hell, Dak done did it before. I was reading an article just the other day, and it kills me that it kills me as a Cowboys fan that gets more respect from other franchises and other people outside of Dallas than he does from his own people that should support him.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I read an article that, and this wasn't a Cowboys article, this was a national article, and they was ranking Dak as a quarterback, and I think they got him ranked as like the 14th best quarterback in the league right now,
Mhm.
something like that.
Yeah, that
And
was on. That was on one of them.
yeah, and
But that was because he didn't play last year. Like he only played a half of a season. He only played 6 games last season. And then they had one ranking that they didn't have him ranked as a top, not even a top 20. And I was just like, who made this?
so then
Who actually made this? Because not one of these players that y'all put on here other than that is better than him. I have did more than he has done.
I mean, of course, you're gonna have your Patrick Mahomes
Right,
and your Josh Allens and your
right.
Lamar Jacksons,
Right, and your Joe Burrows, but you
Joe
can't even.
Burrow.
But can we honestly sit here and say that Joe Burrows has been better than that? Besides the 1 year that he did that, yeah, he made it. He took him to the playoff. I mean, he took him to the Super Bowl. He did that in his what was that his first year, second year,
Second year.
his second year, yeah, he did, and he did have actually played in the Super Bowl. But trending after that, what have Joe Burrows done? And we all know what's gonna be said. Oh, he didn't have a defense. He don't have an O line. He didn't have a running back. So it kills me that all these other quarterbacks you can have all these excuses for. They didn't have this, they didn't have that, they didn't have this, they didn't have that. But Dak is the only quarterback that if he don't have these things, he still is supposed to be Superman. We could give Jalen his props for winning the Super Bowl this time. But without that O line and without the D line that Philly had last year, Jalen don't win a Super Bowl. He don't win a Super Bowl. If you go back and look at Jalen's stats for the whole season, Jalen's stats wasn't even off the chart stats. The tush push, Saquon Barkley, the O line, and the D line is what allowed Philly to win the Super Bowl.
Oh, I 100% agree, and I'm with you. I'm not gonna take nothing away
Yeah,
from. I'm not taking nothing away from um, Philadelphia Super Bowl win.
at all,
They're
at
Super Bowl
all.
champions. Um,
And they put the pieces together to win.
yes, they
They
did.
they they put the pieces together to win. So I'm
Yeah,
not can't take that from them. Howie did what he had to do to put the pieces around Jalen to win.
yeah. And let's even take it a step further. Even with Washington, you
Hmm.
know that ownership put a team together to get to the conference championship game.
But you know why? Because they playing with house money.
Oh yeah,
On a lot of especially with Jaden, they playing with house money. So when you're playing with house money and your quarterback is not under a big contract, you have the opportunity to bring in pieces that you need. You have that opportunity to do that. Most definitely. You know, Washington playing with a lot of house money. Even this season, they're still playing with a lot of house money.
oh my God. So look at what's going on in San Francisco. If you don't understand the business of the NFL and how teams are being built
Mhm.
Look at what's going on in San Francisco right now. They had to
Mhm.
have a fire sale in
Mhm.
order to sign Brock Purdy to his contract.
Mhm.
They're gonna have a brand new team
Mhm.
this year coming up, and there are some players on that squad that wants to get out already
Mhm.
because they see what's going on.
Mhm.
And I don't think that people understand that. You know, I will say this though, and I hate to give this guy credit. Howie up there in Philadelphia, I don't know how he does it,
But he do it.
uh, but eventually they're gonna have to pay the piper. I don't care.
Yeah, that's
I
coming
don't,
down next season.
yeah,
It's gonna hit them real hard next season.
yeah.
It's gonna hit them real hard next season. Real hard, you know. And I could say even a little bit this season because they don't have the D line that they had last year. They don't have the O line they had last year,
And they're going to have to pay them young guys that they
and they're
picked
gonna
up.
have to pay them young ones.
Yeah,
So, um, yeah, this is gonna be interesting to see how this whole division plays out this season. Um, they still have us as third in the division. They still have us as being number three in the division. Um, and we have a hard schedule. Say, I don't know who put this schedule together for us. I don't know. I don't know. Jerry was drinking that brown and he wasn't paying attention. But we have one of the hardest schedule in the NFL this season, and that's from the start to the end. Um, Giants, I can say that they got better in some divisions, some parts of it. They got better. So I don't think Giants is gonna be Giants is not gonna be a slap on the wrist team this season. I don't think they are. I think they are going to play better football this season. I think we have our hands full this season. Um, Looking at our schedule, the top side of our schedule, we need to win as many games as we can. Because
hmm
when we come back after the bye, after we play Arizona and the bye, we in for we in for a rude awakening. We are in for a rude awakening. The two teams that we need to beat this year that's on our schedule. Um, I mean, we need to beat all of them, but and especially the division ones. But the two teams that stands out to me that we definitely need to try to beat. One is the NFC team and one is an AFC team. And those two teams are the teams that have our numbers. Whenever we play them, they have our numbers. Those are the two teams that we have now one against in years. And that's Arizona. And we play them right before the bye. And that's Denver. Those are two teams that we need to find a way to win. Those two games we need to find a way to win. We need to break those two curses.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna, I'm gonna. I love you, but I'm gonna disagree with you on one of them.
Which
I
one?
feel, I feel we gotta beat Green Bay.
Oh yeah, I was coming back to
Okay,
the end, Green Bay. I was just we I was I was coming back to Green Bay.
okay.
Yeah, I was coming back to Green Bay. But I called those two teams out because those teams is where we have the longest losing streak to.
Okay. Okay. I'll give you that then. I
And they at
100% give you that.
home or on the road with them. That's where we have two biggest losing streaks to. But Green Bay, is definitely, and I think I like that Green Bay game, and I like that it's a night game because it's gonna put y'all back in that atmosphere that y'all were in when y'all lost to them, and it's on for the playoffs. We have to beat Green Bay, and we play them at home. We have to beat them. We have to. Another team that we have to beat on the road is Detroit.
We do not have.
We can't play with nobody.
You're right.
We can't play with nobody. And believe it or not, I see 49ers staring us down again. I see them staring us down again. 49ers have the easiest schedule in the NFL this season. They have the easiest schedule in the NFL. They can literally go 15-2 with the schedule they have.
Hmm.
If Christian McCaffrey come back healthy and they stick to running the ball, they can literally have a really top side winning streak on their hands. And the Super Bowl is in San Francisco this year. Now, where I see San Francisco weaknesses at is that O line is getting old. So I see weaknesses in that. Um, I think their D line gonna have a little issues because they have to get back acclimated with Robert. He's back, but they have to get back a little bit back acclimated with him. So I think their defense is gonna go through a little turmoil.
Oh, most definitely.
Um, yeah, we have a really rough schedule this season.
Oh, like I said, our schedule is brutal, and
Yeah, our schedule brutal.
and what, but at the same time, I like those type of schedules.
Hmm.
Um, and the reason why I like those type of schedules is because like the last 3 years we went 12-5,
Hmm.
36 games in the last 5 years. I'm sorry,
Hmm.
before last season, 3 out of the last four seasons we went 3-5. We had Dak injury last year, and we went. We had a down year, but
Right.
I still saw a little promise out the team, even with Dak not being on the field. We lost Parsons for part of the season. Uh,
Hmm.
we lost D Law for a lot of the season. We had a lot of injuries, a young offensive line, a hurt offensive line, and we didn't have any linebackers. And yet, I thought that we competed in a lot of our games and
Hmm.
just didn't have the gas towards
Hmm.
the end to keep up with the team, with the
Not the
other team.
not the quarterback to push it over.
Yes.
Not the
So
quarterback to push it over.
I'm optimistic. This is and I love the fact that we're not making a lot of noise this off season up until today, um, so we can have that we can have no expectations. I'm going into this season with zero expectations from this team. I'm not too high on them. I'm not too low on them. We always seem to be, even when we have a bad year, we're always in the middle of the pack. Except when we had those gruesome injuries to our quarterbacks, to where we had, whether it's been Romo or Dak lately. But I like the moves that we made thus far.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Hold on, son.
I like the moves that we've made thus far this off season. I don't think that we're done making any deals. I think that we're going to continue to make a few more moves, whether it be through free agency. Um, Hell, we might even make a trade in during the season. But I do think that with Jerry's, I think Jerry heard the fans last year, especially when he put that statement out about he's going all in, then we ain't do shit for the whole off season and during the season.
Mhm.
So I like some of the moves that we made, um, and I'm not just talking about the George Pickens move. I'm
Right.
thinking,
Yeah.
the D tackle that we got from the USFL from Birmingham.
Mhm.
He was an ex NFL player, so he has some experience, and we're gonna see where these some of these moves can take us.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. One thing that I noticed different from Jerry this past off season so far. One thing that I've noticed different from him is he stayed out the light and he let Brian do his thing with picking his staff, and he let the defense coordinator kind of drive him in the seat, let him be the driver's seat on players that he felt like he needed to get in here that fits his scheme. He let Brian do his thing for as the offensive side of players that he needed to get in here to help see where he wants to take this. All these running backs that we have on this roster, that's our Brian, because he is a run the ball type coordinator. And that's what he said from the beginning, is that he wants to run the ball. He wants to eliminate as many mistakes with turnovers by running the ball. And that's the reason they went offensive line in the first round pick. That was their reason for doing that. They wanted someone that can come in, step in immediately and play. And a lot of people didn't like the pick first. They didn't like the pick because they had they had the running backs on the board, and or whatever. But when you go back and you look at this, that pick makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. You got a player in him. Granted, college and NFL translates differently, but I think this young man is a dog. He's a dog. And when you hear a player say, "I don't like hitting playing football. Really, I just like to hit people. I just like to lay them on their back. I just like to get in their face and make them mad." Hold on.
I mean, from what I'm hearing is everybody's impressed with him. That's what I'm hearing. They're saying these,
Mhm.
and not only are they impressed with him, um, they're impressed with our other young Tyler from last year. The
You know why?
strides that he's made from the year
Mhm.
before last.
Mhm. And he took upon
You,
himself and
you,
said
you
he
know
took
what,
upon.
Barry? I'm sorry. You know what, Barry? You done brought your ass on here, and we earlier we gave your Giants just a little props. We didn't give them a lot of props. We gave them a little props. So forget you and your Giants. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah, we did give Giants a little props. We said we didn't think they were gonna be a bad team this year. I don't think they'll be a bad team. I don't think they're gonna be a bad team this year. Um, but the thing that I like with Tyler, we have to call them by their last names because we got three Tylers on the line now.
Right.
So, what I like about him is he took the initiative and reached out to Tyron Smith after Tyron retired and said, "I need you to work with me. I
Yeah.
need you to coach me. I need you to help me. I need you to train me." Tyron Smith said, "No problem. Let's do it." So for me, that lets me know that he is a young man that want to do better, want to be better, want to be what we need on that line. My only issue still I have with this line is Terrence Steele. It's Terrence Steele. Um, this will be his second year coming back from the ACL, so I'm hoping that he can do better. I'm hoping that he plays better plays better this year. I know it takes a whole year, sometimes 2 years to come back from an ACL. So I'm hoping that he can be better because he's the he was the weakest link on the line.
Yeah, he
Uh,
was.
he was the weakest link on the line. Got Gooten. His issues was penalties. He made the right plays. They just always resulted into a penalty, and that came from hand placement. So that's one of the things he said he wanted Tyron Smith to work with him on. It's the hand placements, the moving his feet, letting his feet move when they need to move. You know, I think besides Terrence Steele, I think we got a young line,
Mhm. A
and
very
if
young line.
we got a young line, and if that line can do what we need them to do, and they can open up some lanes and let these running backs run. Only time we gonna need that. Only time we gonna need that is in that red zone. Is when we get in that red zone. We're gonna need him the most.
Yeah.
Now you got to pick your poison.
Yeah.
You got to pick your poison. You could double Lamb, but you're gonna leave Pickens open. You could double Pickens, then you're leaving Lamb open. But if you double Pickens and you double Lamb, then you're gonna leave your middle wide open. You're gonna leave open for Jake Ferguson. Ferguson should come back strong. He should come back healthy. He should be ready to roll. Luke Shooter, it's time for me to see more from him as a second round pick. I'm scared. It's from second round pick. Um, I think I think we done a good job with the running back side of the ball. I like the competition we have for the running backs. I like it. And if Blue can stay healthy, and if we keep Miles Sanders and they both can stay healthy, we got a running game. We got a running game.
Yeah.
And that's what we lacked last
Yeah.
year. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand that. Like I'm telling folks, you got to have a running game in order for your quarterback to be successful.
Hmm.
As you notice, all the teams that went into the playoffs, when their running games dipped off, that's why they didn't make it because they
Hmm.
had to rely on their quarterbacks more than what they normally had to rely on them, and it didn't fare well. That's where you get the interceptions at. That's where you get the panic throws, the panic picks. That's what I call them. That was a panic pickup. He panicked and he threw an interception.
Yep.
So,
I just feel like that our running game and our D line has got to be on point.
yes,
It just has to.
definitely the D line.
You it seems like we talked about this towards the end of last season that the running backs the the running back has reemerged. Yeah, we talked about the Cowboys with charges already. Um, so you late to the party, Mr. Giant. That's the first thing we talked about. Um, but the running back has seemed to emerge again. The running game, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
has reemerged as a
Mhm.
vital part of the game, and we're going to see how teams adjust to that.
Mhm.
Because once you took the running game away, then everybody started running that 4-2-5 defense. Um, Now teams are needing to have to pick up these linebackers, and linebackers had gotten smaller and faster, but we started running against them. So let's see how teams make adjustments coming up this upcoming season. But it's going to be a very interesting season. You know, what do you think about all these international games, though?
Whew. I know. I don't know. I don't know. But can we get one?
I don't want an international game.
You don't want none?
No. Only way I would want an international game if it's somebody else's home game.
Okay. Okay.
But hell, I don't think I'm gonna go.
Yeah, especially now with everything that's going on right now,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
especially with the poison and nah, I'm good on it. But Jerry trying to keep us in Mexico anyway.
yeah. If we do anything, we're gonna go to Mexico,
You're
and
right.
I can see that. I can
Right.
see going to Mexico. But some way or another, somebody gonna f that up for us too. So
You know how that goes. How that goes. But yeah, I'm just surprisingly um shocked at how Jerry has been so quiet this offseason.
oh my God.
Now the only thing I want him to do is go ahead and get this Parsons thing out the way. Because I don't we don't need this to continue to hang over our head during training camp.
Right.
We don't need this to continue to hang over our head through training camp. So I'm hoping that they can get this done in the next couple of weeks for the the next couple of weeks or so. I'm hoping that they could get this done so we don't have that hanging over our head. But we know Jerry like to make big announcements. He'll probably do some shit like he did last year for that. Waited until season opener and announce it.
Shit, he gonna announce it at halftime, just so he could take the shine away from from the Eagles. Let's see. Kelly said we're scheduled to play in Mexico in 2026 since the stadium will be ready after major renovations. Well, depends on the time of year and if we not done with all this ice crap.
Man, and we definitely want to send a prayer up to Kerrville, Texas, with what's going on up there. With the floods that happened, the Guadalupe Bridge overflowed, and I think the last I checked, the count was at 51 people missing.
Wow.
So it's getting worse and worse, up there. So we definitely want to send our prayers out to those folks and their families, and especially the ones that have confirmed that they have lost their kids, lost loved ones, especially their children.
and also to that family that lost, that was involved in that bad car wreck. Um,
The six, the
yeah, I
ones
think
in Florida.
no, it was in Texas.
Oh, the truck driver fell asleep.
Yeah,
Yes, one whole family. That's just devastating. Um, and then you had the family in Florida, the six in Florida, the three adults, two babies, one kid.
yeah. That goes back to my earlier statement when I said that even though we support our team and we look up to these players, we criticize these players. Life is still life. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
and it saddens me that the world is how it is today. I'm luckily, um, I have some friends that have kept politics out of our friendship. Um, well, to my face, I'll say that much. They've
Mhm.
kept it out of my face. Um, Hopefully, they don't have no underlying motives behind my back because of my political belief or are my political disagreements with some of the policies that have went on. But I know this is a sports show, but we do talk about current events. I get mixed feelings when I see this big beautiful whatever bill they want to call it uh, they passed, and how much some of us will benefit from us and some of us won't benefit from us. My thing of it is even though a bill may be passed and it doesn't affect me personally, I still got to think about how it is going to affect others. And it is going to affect me personally. I mean, indirectly, it's going to affect me personally. Um, but to have cuts to some of the programs that we have out there to help people, uh, for it to um, cut health care for a lot of people, um, it's just mind boggling. And I think the thing that boggles me the most about our politics, and especially our politics here in the United States, everything is all about money, the big businesses. And yes, I want to make money to support me and my household and my kids and their future families. But it amazes me that you can go to other countries and they have free health care, free education,
Mhm. Mhm.
and yet we're cutting everything around here.
I mean, everything, cutting everything. You won't be able to buy sodas, candy, none of these things with your stamps. With people that get, you know, food stamps. They sent out a thing today saying that um people that was overpaid by mistake or overpaid because they didn't report their wages, um, they're finna start holding their money back at a bigger amount and to get their balances paid off. You know, um, so it's gonna be some hard times and some rough times out here. But this is what they voted for. This is this is a lot of people voted for. A lot of people put in office. I don't knock your beliefs. I don't knock the fact that the reason you chose this political party. That's fine and dandy, but I don't think people sincerely sat back and looked at everything that was gonna happen when this man took office. He lied, he lied, he lied, he lied, he lied. He told y'all Project 25 was gonna happen. He came back and said that wasn't true, that wasn't gonna happen. And guess what? Everything on Project 2020, I'm sorry, it's Project 25. Everything on Project 2025 is coming down the tailpipe. Everything. So it's too late to cry. It's too late to say, "Oh, I made the wrong vote." It's too late to cry. It's too late to say I made the wrong vote. You know, we still have so much hatred in this world that people would had rather vote for him than to see a black woman in office. Let's call it what it is. It ain't even the fact about her being a Democratic or whatever. It was the fact that she was a black, well educated woman.
Well, in my opinion, all the stuff that she said was gonna happen happened.
Everything. And it didn't even take a year. It happened in 5 months.
You know, am I saying that
She
everything
would
that
have been better? No.
yeah? Am I saying that everything that that man does is horrible? No, I'm not saying that. But the body of work that I've seen, and because I just happen to be in the middle class, so I see everything above me and everything under me, and I see, I look at what's going on in an organization that I'm very familiar with. We've had to make a lot of changes because of what's going on in the world today, and some of them I really didn't like. What can I do about it? I'm still able to provide for mine. Um, so I have to, you don't want to be callous to what's going on in the world today, but you also got to, realize that this is a dog eat dog world, you know, and just like everybody above me, they're going to take care of themselves and take care of their business. I got to do the same. I got to have that same mentality. But that doesn't mean that I'm oblivious to what's going on around me. That doesn't mean that I don't have empathy for those who are affected by what's going on in today's society. And I think that's one thing that I like about sports is that sports is the ultimate unifier. One thing I don't like about sports, it's also one of the, it's the ultimate divider. You know, um, so like I said, we just got to remember that players are human. Players are going to make mistakes. We can talk bad and bash the Giants all we want to, and dislike the Eagles all we want to, and Washington and whatever other teams that are out there. But at the end of the day, um, as fans, we're not getting paid. Um, we can continue to have our opinions.
And we don't have to agree.
100%.
We don't have to agree, but we can disagree respectfully. We can disagree respectfully. We don't have to fall out. We don't have to be an argument. It don't have to be no bashing. It don't have to be any of that. We can disagree respectfully because you cannot expect everyone to have the same opinion as you or the same thought as you. And this is what makes this show interesting for us because we have different of opinions on certain things, but we know how to respect each other with our difference of opinion.
Yeah. Like me, I'm still I'm still a little salty at how the NBA Finals was called from a refereeing standpoint, especially the last three games. Did you see the difference of the refereeing from games that went on in 1 through 4 and how
Mhm.
they changed
Mhm.
up 5,
Mhm.
6, and 7?
Mhm. Mhm. It's just that in game 6, um, the Pacers lead was so big, it wasn't nothing you can do to make no adjustments, you know, or make anything happen because the lead was so big, you know. So it wasn't a close call. It wasn't a close game. Um, but I kind of figured they wanted it to go back to Oklahoma
Of
and
course.
wanted Oklahoma to win in Oklahoma. Um, I really feel bad for Halliburton. Um, I guess that's kind of when we say on here that sometimes you have to save a player from themselves.
Yes.
And I think that is one of the times that I would have maybe have not. I don't think I would have started off the game playing him. I think I would have reserved him until we totally needed him, maybe in the fourth quarter or so, being that he was playing with that type of injury. But I understand he wanted to be on the court. He wanted to play. He wanted to be there to help his team. And I totally respect that, and I respect that for him. But to see him go out like that in a playoff game and get hurt to that extent, to where he's out and be out he's gonna be out all next season. Sometimes you have to save a player for themselves.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. And the fact that he was having a great game
He
in the
was.
first quarter
He was
of
cooking.
the oh my gosh, I was like,
He was cooking.
I had all hope. Of like, if he's hitting these shots like this, and let me even take a step back. The whole debate about whether he's a superstar or not, f that. It's not
Right.
about whether he was a superstar or not. He was the leader of the team. He was the leader of the squad. He was what's up, Dave? He was the leader of the team. He was the emotional leader of that team. And I don't make excuses. Oklahoma City won it. Hats off to them. It was a better series than what I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
No, let me take that back. Not that what I thought. It was a better series than what a lot of people thought it was going to be.
Yeah, a lot of people thought it was gonna be a game. It wasn't. I actually had Oklahoma winning in game 6. I had
Most
game
people,
6.
most people had Oklahoma City winning in 5.
Really?
Most people that I talked to, and from reading, me following the series, everybody. If you wasn't a Pacer fan, or if you weren't a Oklahoma City hater, everybody had them winning in 5. And I told news people, I said, no, this it's going 7. I said, if Oklahoma City wins it, it's going to be 7 for 2
Hmm.
reasons. One, I think a lot of people discredited the Pacers for what they did.
Yeah, that bench is deep.
Yep. And then 2, because of the NBA, they're business too, and they're into
Hmm.
making money. They wanted that corporate sponsorship because you had 2 small market cities. So where else were you gonna get this money from? TV sponsorship. Take it to 7. That's why when you saw the disparity, the difference in the refereeing in games 5, 6, and 7. One game they was allowed to beat each other up so bad that you know you could see blood on the court, and then the next game you turn around, and if you blew on them, if you did a Lance Stevenson and blew on somebody's ear, you're gonna get a foul called against you. So,
Right.
and traveling is a thing of the past, in the NBA now. And what kills me is this this new thing of the gather step. It's not legal in high school. It's not legal in college, but it's okay to do it in the NBA. How many gather steps do you need?
Right. Right.
But I digress. Like I said, I give, the Pacers. We were, we wasn't expected to be there. Although at the beginning of the year we had the second best record in the NBA after January the 1st,
Okay.
and we wasn't expected to beat Milwaukee. We damn sure wasn't expected to beat Cleveland, and we wasn't expected to beat the Knicks. So, we did what we had to do to get there.
So do y'all get back there next year?
Um, so I think we made a pretty good move. We lost Miles Turner,
Yeah.
but we picked up and I wish my boy Jerome was on here. We picked up one of their centers, and he wasn't happy about that move. It made me ecstatic.
Miles Turner?
Miles Turner's gone to Milwaukee.
Right. But who wasn't happy about the move? Miles Turner?
No, Jerome.
Oh, Jerome wasn't.
Yeah, Mr. Cowboy. He wasn't happy that we picked up a center off this squad. But that kid, he plays both sides. Miles Turner was. I like Miles Turner. I just think he wasn't aggressive enough. He wasn't using his height to be aggressive enough. He was out there shooting threes like the rest of the guys instead of being down the rim. He led our team in blocks, on defense. On offensive, I didn't think he was aggressive enough. So,
and I think in a couple of those games, I think what hurt the Pacers too was shooting threes, trying to just constantly shoot threes instead of just beating them to the rim and beating them in the paint. So I seen it too. So do OKC repeat?
no,
Okay.
no, they don't repeat.
Okay.
I don't see them repeating.
I just hate this drought. I hate this drought in between going to training, getting ready for training camp.
Yeah.
It's just it's boring. It's like you pulling for something to watch. Trying to find something to watch. You just pulling for something to watch.
Yeah. And I think the good thing about it, though, Nikki, like you said earlier, this is the first off season where, it's July 6th and
we just getting something.
Yeah, and it's something, but it's nothing.
Nothing. It's something, but it's nothing.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I got the schedule put up. If we want to run through and give an hour, see what we how close we come together at the end of the year.
Honestly, I think that I would like to wait a couple of weeks for that to see what the rosters look like.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because nobody's roster is close to being set right now. Everybody's got 80 to 100 players on their squad right now.
True.
And there's going to be some more movements during training camp. It's going to be some movements after the cuts. Probably, I would say after the first
round of cut, after the first preseason game.
At the first because then after the first preseason game, we're going to see the third and fourth stringers playing. I don't think we're seeing any starters, but we'll definitely see the backups to the backups to see who's going to make the team.
So, being that Dak missed all of the rest of last season, do we play him in preseason?
No,
Well, we never do anyway.
yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Um, I wouldn't risk it because one, he's older now.
Yeah,
Um, I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't put my $60 million quarterback out there
no,
in a game that he's not trying to prove a point. I want to see Joe Milton versus Grill.
yeah,
Although I think Joe Milton will get the second backup spot just because they traded for him and what they gave up for him. Uh, I think he gets it. I think Will Grill be gone again. Will be gone again. Um, but I want to see the competition. I want to see competition. Um, I do want to see the competition with them. I do want to see the competition with the running backs as well. I'm definitely looking forward for that, and I am definitely looking forward to um the D line on how Matt come in here and gather this D line and get this D line together.
most
So
definitely.
definitely looking forward to that. So we have a lot of things that we need to where we going to be looking forward to this season. That we're going to be looking forward to for in training camp and preseason, just because you might as well say we're turning over a new leaf, whole new coaching staff. So our eyes will definitely be on that, and definitely will be our eyes will be on Brian on how he handles the play calling, where he actually be a great play caller. So it was said that he was trying to call some plays, and McCarthy was too stubborn to let him help call some plays. He was too stubborn to do it. Um, because at that time he was afraid that Brian would take that Shotty would take his job, and at the end of the day, Shotty still ended up taking your job. Maybe if you let Shotty call some plays, you had another chance to be here. So we'll see if that theory stands.
We're definitely gonna see.
See, we're gonna see. But yeah,
So I know as of right now, Vegas and Washington and Dallas are the two guys, and possibly Carolina because they're so close to me. But I might have to skip Carolina because Washington and Vegas are going to be like,
the main games this
oh
year.
my God, yes, yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
those are going to be the main games this year. Washington and Vegas, because everybody's looking to see if Jalen has that second year drop off, as most quarterbacks do.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Like I said, we got
everybody will be
film,
looking for that.
and I'm very interested in seeing what the defense is because our defense coordinator, he wasn't a bad defensive coordinator.
No, he's never been a bad defensive coordinator.
Yeah, so I want to see what the defense does. I'm not worried about the offense. I know what Dak brings, and I hopefully we don't we don't have too sexy of an offense. I saw an interesting stat today. They put up Michael Parsons' numbers during the regular season, what he averaged, and then they put up his numbers in the playoff and what he averaged.
Mm-hmm.
And those numbers was night and day.
Night and day.
So
Night and day.
I'm more interested in seeing what our defense does this year than what the offense can produce. I'm not
Right.
saying I'm not worried about the offense. I don't want no dumb penalties, and I definitely don't want no dumb. I don't want the some of the dumb mistakes that we made, especially in our route tree, um, with the players. you know,
Mhm.
looking up and having two receivers in the same area, an interception gets thrown, and you want to blame it on the quarterback versus the offense.
Their part.
You know, I don't want to see that dumb stuff this year. So I'm curious to see how I'm curious to see how the changes, what changes shots gonna bring to this team. The fact, like you said earlier, the fact that he's changing the culture. You know, I haven't heard anything but positive stuff.
That's it.
Uh,
That's all I've heard.
um, and just as long as he doesn't turn this into club fed, as some people call it, um, where we're just skating by because we're the Cowboys.
Right. And yeah. I think he's really on his shit because they put a statement out that when Dak got Turpin out or whatever, um Brian was the first person to reach out to Turpin and told him he needs to have a conversation with him. So basically, he don't want this to linger into the season or linger into training camp. He want to have a conversation with
That's what's up.
him, you know. And again, we human, you know. We make mistakes. I don't think he thought he was gonna get stopped for nothing. So that's what I need to. That's what I want to find out. Like, what even was the initial stop for? Did he
Yeah,
run a red light? Did he run a stop sign? Did he not put on a blinking light? I want to know what was even the initial stop for, or was the stop just because you knew he was K1 Turpin? Hey Natalie,
hey Natalie.
hey Nat.
Well, with that
Um,
being said, as always, enjoyable show.
great evening, great evening. So okay, well, we got about a week or two. I guess we'll come back when training camp actually kicks off, and we can get into what we want to see in training camp, what we want to see from who and what player. I like the fact that I see what Trayvon Diggs doing. I see he is working his butt off to be ready to come back. Um, if Trayvon is not ready to come back for the season, do we go out and get? Do we resign Gilmore? Do we go ahead and see what Justin Simmons wants? Personally, my take, I don't, I mean, what would we do? What we do?
Yeah,
What we
we
do?
we,
Because
we
we're going to need help on that other side.
well, I think that we need to bite the bullet and throw these young guys into the fire. You know,
That's my thing.
if we're gonna make some mistakes, let's go ahead and make them. Get them out the way early, and get them out the way early. Put up a couple of wins in as you said, the first part of the season. Because when we hit that second win after that bye week, we got to be clicking.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Well, I appreciate you getting off the highway and taking some time to um for us to give the fans, like I say the fans, give our fans something to look forward to because they haven't heard from us in a while. They haven't heard from us since the end of the season. A lot of it was sent to me in inboxes that we didn't want to talk about the team because we lost and we didn't want to discuss it because Philly won. We didn't want to talk whatever. And I was just like, y'all so stupid. Y'all so petty. Like nobody's scared to talk about our team because Philly won the Super Bowl. I gave Philly their props. Philly came out the gate smashing KC, and they didn't let up. I gave them their props. They D line, they O line came with the fire. They came ready, they came prepared, and they were ready to play. They were determined to beat KC this year. They were determined not to let KC do to them what they did the last time they played them. So I gave them they props. Now my only wish and my only prayer is that we show up that Thursday night and we run they banner drop night.
That's what I hope. Now, Jerry opening up his mouth saying that he wanted Philadelphia the first
Mhm.
game.
Mhm. He
He
wanted
got
them
his
last
wish.
year. He got his wish.
He got his
Got his
wish.
wish. So your boys need to be ready.
Yep.
Now, what we do have on our side is Dak is 8-4 against them. And the last time that Philly played, we played Philly. Philly got us. They beat us, but they didn't really beat us. The game didn't turn until the second half. If Cooper Rush would have not threw that pick and stayed the game, that's when the game turned. Second half. But hopefully, we've seen all the videos. We've seen nothing but the praises. How Dak is working, how hard he has been working. Um, he got with another football girl to run with him and work with him with routes, pushing the ball down the field more, um, being accurate. The man is putting in the work. He's putting in the work. He's putting it in. So I just need him to mentally be ready for that second half of that season. But we need to stack as many wins as we can stack on that first half because that second half is brutal.
Yep.
So we'll see. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Natalie, for joining in, and Byron and Dave and whoever else came on here. We appreciate you guys. And
Yeah.
hopefully the week of training camp we'll come back on and we'll kind of go over what we want to see in training camp.
Most definitely. Most
And
definitely.
we're gonna pray, 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 no injuries.
Yes.
No, that's
Prayers
the
to
only thing that scares me is training camp because this is where you get a lot of injuries at. So,
yes.
so okay. Well, you have a
All
good
right.
night, and I'm glad you made it back safe. And we will discuss later.
All right. Good night.
All right. Good night.